Hi guys, welcome back to The Baseline. Thank you so much for joining me today. Hope you guys are having a great day, great night, and of course a great life. So, something cracked in British politics this week, and it wasn't just a government losing control. It was the illusion that the people running the country are actually the ones in charge. Because overnight, Downing Street did something no government with a pulse ever does. It actually exposed its own power struggle in real time. And the moment the mask slipped, what we saw was not leadership. It was a family brawl inside a collapsing institution. So picture this: the lights of number 10 glowing behind a rain-slick street, a government spiraling, and advisors whispering stories to the press like they're passing notes in a high school hallway. And they're not notes about policy, not about the country, but about who's plotting to stab whom in the back. Now, the public has felt this anxiety for a long time before this moment, that sense that something was just off, that somebody behind the curtain is calling the shots. And the revelation? It wasn't a scandal. It was a confirmation. Because the truth appears to be this, that the British government is no longer fighting the opposition. It's fighting itself. And here's the headline. Reports from multiple outlets suggest number 10 privately briefed journalists that Health Secretary Wes Streeting is positioning himself to replace Prime Minister Keir Starmer. And it was at that exact moment the government is facing economic turmoil, a collapsing approval, a looming budget crisis that threatens to break the last threads of political trust in the UK. So this isn't politics. This is a controlled demolition. And the stakes for everyday people couldn't be higher. They're massive. Because when governments turn inward, when leaders obsess over succession instead of stability, the country becomes collateral damage. Jobs, public services, national credibility, all of it hangs on whether a handful of advisors can stop the bleeding long enough to survive the next news cycle. So let's pause for a second, because here's where it gets more unsettling. For months, Starmer's administration has been drifting. I mean, no clear vision, no narrative, no meaningful economic plan. And now, according to the leaks, number 10's strategy to save the PM is to warn Labour's MPs that removing Starmer could create market shock, that the bond markets may punish Britain if the wrong person steps in. So think about what that implies. The message isn't trust the voters. It isn't trust the party. It isn't even trust democracy. It's trust the financial markets. That's like saying the driver can't be removed from the bus because the insurance company might get upset. And this is where the blade slices it all clean. Because when politicians claim the markets will decide who leads a country, they are admitting they don't. This has echoes of the 2008 financial crisis, or the 1976 IMF crisis, or the trust meltdown, all over it. Moments when democratic decisions were overshadowed by the cold logic of global finance. Except this time, the elites aren't reacting to a crisis. They're threatening one preemptively. And here's the second twist. Instead of weakening Wes Streeting, this entire meltdown appears to have strengthened him. Downing Street's anonymous briefings allowed Streeting to parade through TV studios as the wronged loyalist, a character straight out of a political drama, repeating lines about celebrity traitors as if he were auditioning for the role of the relatable alternative. It was a cinematic moment, to say the least. The smirk he tried to hide, the careful wording, the refusal to rule out a leadership bid. You could almost hear his own inner monologue. Keep the tone humble, keep the ambition quiet, don't blink. And this is where analogies become absolutely unavoidable. Because this Labour government now resembles a haunted house, where every door you open reveals another argument. A sinking ship where the crew fights over who gets to stand on the driest plank. It's Shakespearean, like a Shakespearean play where the crown is less important than the betrayal itself. And here's the deeper pattern. Reports suggest this crisis didn't emerge spontaneously. It grew out of a long-term factional maneuvering inside Labour, where advisors once saw Starmer as a temporary cleanup act after Corbyn, a caretaker who would neutralize the left and lose gracefully, making way for someone like Streeting to take over. But the Tory implosion changed that script. Suddenly, the temporary man was Prime Minister, and the architects behind him were stuck with a leader they apparently didn't believe in the very first place. Now, this is the quiet truth. What's happening now isn't an accident. It's the collision of a government without a vision and a political class without a compass. So pause again, because the most disturbing part is what this tells the public. When ministers leak about coups, when advisors whisper about markets choosing leaders, when politicians jockey for power during a national crisis, it reinforces the exact narrative fueling Britain's democratic breakdown. That the voters don't matter, and that elites always win. And leadership is a performance staged for the cameras, not a service to the country. And the outrage is powering Reform UK, the Greens, and every anti-establishment surge waiting in the wings. So Britain isn't dealing with a leadership crisis. It's facing a legitimacy crisis. A system designed to serve the people is now serving itself. A government elected to stabilize the country is destabilizing it faster than its opponents ever could. And in the vacuum, power flows to whoever can manipulate the chaos, whether that's markets or factions or opportunists with sharp elbows. But here's the part the public rarely hears. This collapse isn't inevitable. It's engineered by a political culture that treats power like property and the public like spectators. Every scandal, every leak, every crisis within Labour right now is really a reminder that democracies don't die from one dramatic blow. They rot from years of leaders choosing control over clarity, image over integrity, and survival over service. All right, what do you guys think? Do I have this all right? Do I have it all wrong? Please put your comment in the section below. I look forward to reading and replying to all the comments. All right, thank you guys so much again for watching The Baseline, and we'll catch you the next round. Okay, cheers everybody.